So somebody was just asking me, you know, why are we switching screws? You know, we were going from 1.25" coarse thread to 1.25" fine thread, and fine threads just work with steel better than the coarse thread. And this is interior steel, not exterior steel construction. You need a different screw yet for that. So we're swapping out all our. Yeah, you want to see how I get screws in my pouch, by the way? I never just reach in and grab the screws, because you're going to end up with screw bits in your fingers. I just take the edge of the plastic and I just flip a bunch of screws in my hand, put them in my pouch. We're going to be using a lot of screws on this job, so a couple of handfuls. And how about the brand of screw? You know, I'm sure there's all kinds of brands out there, but this particular type brand grabber, I just prefer it over, say, the Home Depot brand or something like that, just because the heads are always clear. You know, if you're buying a cheaper brand, you know, sometimes you'll get metal flakes in those heads, and I've had boxes, you know, 5,000 screws with all full of metal flakes, and just such a frustrating ordeal. So grabber screws are my go-to, and this job is 1.25" fine thread. And you can see that. You're right about there. So I'm just dropping a plumb, just approximately where that island lighting is going to end up. It's going to end up right about in here somewhere. So probably just enough for you know, some sort of octagon box to fit. And I don't know if you know this, but typically your chalk line seconds as a plumb line, and that's sort of why they're designed with that point on the bottom, and they come right up the top, and you can just drop that down, and you can find, you know, if you need to transcribe that measurement, you know, from a floor to a ceiling. That's how I do it anyways. It's plugged in. All right, so our first measurement is going to come off of the furring strip. And Robert's going to find
12 is here, so it'll be 138.
138?
Yeah, we'll go light on the 138.
138 light? Alright. So that's, I'm going to write that down for a second. 138. So Robert's saying light, I say thin. I say thin and heavy. And that just means add a 16th or remove a 16th. So it's 138 thin, and let's go look at that board. This is our base. We're keeping a bunch of materials out here. We're pretty much done with metal at this point. I generally do my takeoff from left to right, and I have a reason for that. So I'm going to go 138 thin. So that means less a 16th. And you need to find the T-square. Okay. So the reason why I like to do generally my takeoffs from left to right is so my T-square, the bulk of it sits on the left-hand side, and the small part sits on the right-hand side. So I'm just going to line up my mark right here, and I'm going to cut on the right side of the T-square. And my knife's a little bit on the dull side. Break that off. Give me something better to work with. Not on my side. A lot of guys will cut their board from the front side. I prefer to cut it from the back side. Just because I think it makes a cleaner cut and saves my knife blades. And we're ready to install this first sheet of drywall. We're going to wait for Robert. We can carry her in. When we're doing ceilings, it's hard to get your brain wrapped around which direction the drywall should go when you're using a lift and that sort of thing. So if we were just to put this up on this lift, it would be upside down. We need to turn this board upside down So when we flip this lift up, then the gray side of the paper is shown. And we don't need to do any more layout. There's only one hole that we need to cut in the ceiling, and that's going to be for the cooking fan. Everything else, the electricians know exactly where the recessed lighting is going to go. They're going to wait until the ceiling is done, painted 100%. They're going to come back. They're going to cut all the holes and finish it at that point. So makes our job pretty easy, actually. So let's move this lift. Let's turn our board this way. 1, 2, 3. Then back up towards you. Then take the legs off. And what I normally do, I'm grabbing, this is the brake. I pull the brake up. Keep your hand on the brake so everything is free flowing. Just go ahead, Dad. Get it up there. I'm going to put the brake on. I don't let go of this wheel until I know my brake is on. Otherwise that board's going to come down. And I want to, before I put it up any higher, I just want to make sure I'm splitting the difference over top of that space where there is no furring strip. So that's going to be right about where, Robert? So Robert, can you put the board up? Or raise the lift? Yep. And so what we're doing here, we're just gonna, that wire is just gonna set up there, and we're gonna just be gentle with it. Keep going. So one thing I didn't do is I didn't pull the legs out. So we're gonna regroup. Let's pull this board back down and let's pull our legs out. I'll show you about that. So bring it up.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. And you can see this lift has these extensions that come on out. We didn't put the extensions out, and that's why it's so contoured. So I'm going to lift this. I'm going to just pull this out. And that's going to help with that side. We'll do the same thing on this side. Ah, it's nicer already. Okay. Now you choose. Your back end has to
come down a bit.
no. You're just a little on the tight side. Just loosen her up just a tad. There we go. Go ahead and tighten her up. Yeah, good. All right, we just want to double check everything and make sure that's exactly where we want it.
Here nicely.
Yep. So you can see how our wire is pinched right here. So before we put any screws in this thing, we have to pull this wire and make sure it's in this cavity. Alright, that's looking really good. I do feel like, that's looking over actually. Okay, that's where the first board's gonna go. What'd you do?
Oh, it just popped. I should have had a
No, we should be doing, Robert, is we should
Center
be
out.
starting in the middle. Working this way, that way.
boy.
Because you know, we don't want any buckles in the board. So if we start screwing in the drywall in on the side, on this end and this end, and we're working our way to the middle, if there is a little buckle, it could potentially show in our finished work. So we want a nice flat ceiling. We're going to start in the middle and work our way out on both sides. Leaving enough meat to catch. You know, you probably want a good inch or so, maybe even a little bit more. And you want to countersink that screw just enough to break the paper. Any deeper, and you could potentially get a screw pop. I feel like my screws are going in a little on the deep side, so I'm going to just bring that down a couple of notches. And if you see on these screw guns, turn the chuck this way, it's deeper, turn it to the left, and it's shallower. So I'm going to put another one in here, just because I feel like that one went a little bit too deep, and now the next one is just perfect. So how many screws do we put in a board? On a wall, we want one on either side of the board and two in the fields. This is called the field of the drywall. Doing a ceiling, we want one extra, so I want two on either side and three in the fields. Butt joints, I want to double that up. So if I have 5 screws on a run on a butt, maybe not double, but I am going to have eight screws. And anyways, let's get this board down and we can have a better look. Or the lift down, I should say. All right, you're only as good as the surface you're working off of. And if we're starting off crooked, crookedness just compounds. So we put a lot of effort into leveling this room out, the ceiling. We ended up leveling it, bringing it down. It was about 2 inches out of level overall. And so now when we put this board up, we want to see, I don't know if you can see that. We want to make sure it's level in both directions. You catching that okay? And also here. Okay. All right. So grab your cutout tool. So we just attempted to show you how we use that, how Robert used the cutout tool for this vent here, but the camera wasn't recording. So anyways, we're using this DeWalt cutout tool, and you know, if you wonder why I'm using everything DeWalt, it all hinges on one reason, and that's because I started off using DeWalt and I have about 20 DeWalt batteries. That's the only reason why I'm using DeWalt. Otherwise, I'd probably, I don't know, maybe I'd still be using DeWalt. But anyways, this cutout tool is what we use to get that done so well, and we'll show you some more cutouts later on anyways, and we'll take it from there. 141. 141.
Yeah, like a chimney sweep. All covered in
and working your way up.
Too bad we didn't get that.